Hello English 11A students, this is Mr. Goyette. Just wanted to get some information to you about Unit 1 in American Lit 2. I know Jamie and I were talking about the poems of E. E. Cummings, Ezra Pound, William Carlos Williams, and H.D. And I had talked to Jamie about poems like the Red Wheelbarrow and This Is Just a Stay. And we were looking at the brevity of them, and I commented to her that while William Carlos Williams' ability to put forth a very simple Imagist poem that resembled kind of a very short haiku type form, there were other things that he did very well as a poet. I wanted to give you a little background on the Imagists, the artists who were known as the image poets in the early 1900s, and of course go over what Imagism is. So let me give you a background there first. Imagism was a literary movement established in the early 1900s by Ezra Pound and other poets. As the name suggests, the Imagists concentrated on the direct presentation of images or word pictures. An Imagist poem expressed the essence of an object, person, or incident without providing explanations. If you want to follow along here, you could turn to page 727 in your 11th grade English textbook, American Literature. Though through the spare, clean presentation of an image, the Imagist hoped to freeze the single moment in time and to capture the emotion of the moment. To accomplish this purpose, the Imagist used the language of everyday speech, carefully choosing each word. They also shied away from traditional poetic patterns, focusing instead on creating new musical rhythms. The Imagists were strongly influenced by traditional Chinese, Japanese poetry. Many Imagist poems bear a close resemblance to the Japanese verse forms of haiku and tanka, which generally evoke the emotional response through the presentation of a single image or a pair of contrasting images. The Imagist movement was short-lived, lasting only until about 1918. However, for many years that followed, the poems of Pound, Williams, H.D., and other Imagists continued to influence the work of other poets, including Wallace Stevens, T.S. Eliot, and Hart Crane. And then more on William Carlos Williams here, and then I'm going to read a poem that I had recommended to Jamie called The Widow's Lament in Springtime, which I think is one of the stronger examples of what William Carlos Williams does best. Now, you read as part of your assignment the poem The Red Wheelbarrow, whereas so much depends upon the red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. That short poem is the example of how terse and quickly he can give you an image that can invoke a response. But for many students, I don't think that really gives them a good sense of what William Carlos Williams did well with his poetry. Let's see who he was and why he wrote. William Carlos Williams, 1883 to 1963. Unlike his fellow Imagists, William Carlos Williams spent most of his life in the United States, where he pursued a double career as a poet and a pediatrician in New Jersey. He felt that his experiences as a doctor helped provide him with inspiration as a poet, crediting medicine for his ability to gain entrance to the secret gardens of the self, as he called it. The child of immigrants, Williams grew up speaking English, Spanish, French. Nevertheless, he was enamored of American language and life. He rejected the views of his college friend Ezra Pound, who believed in using allusions to history, religion, and ancient literature. You'll remember that an allusion might be a single word or phrase in a poem that makes reference to something that occurred in other art forms or in history to trigger the reader's knowledge of something as by association. So he rejected the views of his college friend Ezra Pound. Williams focused instead on capturing the essence of modern American life by depicting ordinary people, objects, and experiences using current everyday language. And he focused in on this poetry of everyday life, as he called it. And in volumes such as Spring and All, which was published in 1923, and In the American Grain, 1925, Williams captured the essence of American life and landscape. He avoided offering explanations, remarking that the poet should deal in no ideas, but in things, concrete images that speak for themselves, evoking emotions and ideas. In his later work, Williams departed from pure Imagism in order to write more expansively. His 5-volume poem Patterson, 1946 to 1958, explores the idea of a city as a symbol for a man. The poem is based on the real city of Patterson, New Jersey. Williams continued to write even after his failing health forced him to give up his medical practice. In 1963, he received a Pulitzer Prize for Pictures from Bruegel and Other Poems, his final volume of poetry. So you get an idea of the form and what his typical approach towards Imagism was in focusing on simple objects and everyday instances in life. This is perhaps, I think, one of his stronger poems at capturing both the emotion as well as kind of the simple objects that represent things without the author having to point it out so obtrusively. You get the essence of where the person is without the author having to scream it at you. This poem is called The Widow's Lament in Springtime. Sorrow is in my own yard, where the new grass flames as it has flamed often, but not with the cold fire that closes around me this year. 35 years I lived with my husband. The plum tree is white today, with masses of flowers. Masses of flowers load the cherry branches and color some bushes yellow and some red. But the grief in my heart is stronger than they, for they were my joy. For though they were my joy formerly, today I notice them and turn away, forgetting. Today my son told me that in the meadows at the edge of the heavy woods in the distance he saw trees of white flowers. I feel that I would like to go there and fall into those flowers and sink into the marsh near them. It's called The Widow's Lament in Springtime. And without commenting on it, I'll let you comment on it below in the discussion and discuss it among yourselves. You can find the poem, I believe, online. I got it in a collected works of William Carlos Williams here, and we'll talk more about William Carlos Williams and some of his other poems later on in the course. So please stay active in your discussions. Try to be on time for your class live sessions. I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.